Centro Cultural de Washington County out in Cornelius. And I also sit on the HB 2017 board. And I came here today to share about the transit dependency in Washington County for the folks that have not been spoken about today. Last week, we had a collaboration with the city of Hillsborough in a conversation about transportation and roads and sidewalks and conversations like that. But transportation ended up being the hot topic there. And it was very well attended by the Latinx folks, which is not always the case out here in Washington County. And one of the stories I heard actually were how I heard a story about how this woman helps supports field workers that work out in the fields in providing transportation rides to them because they walk all the way from Hillsborough all the way to the fields to work. So let's not forget about the folks that are not being spoken about. I know that transit dependency is much more than commuting to work. It means going to the grocery stores. It means going to the doctors, going to family gatherings. It means overall being reliable on transportation. And when transportation doesn't provide enough coverage and frequency for folks that are living in the rural communities of Washington County, Trimet has to ask themselves, are we providing an equitable coverage and resource and frequency to folks out here in Washington County? We have a very different region out here. Rural community, also here in Beaverton, it's urbanized. So I do want to also share the fact that I can also speak on the transit dependency. Growing up, I actually was transit dependent with my family. So it was very important to have the buses and the MAX rail being very frequent. If not, we would miss our appointments. As well as I'm very glad that the low income fare is actually going to happen because I remember growing up that my mom had to choose between buying milk or our bus ticket. So like I said before, I think that it's very important, yes, that we think of folks that are commuting to work, but think about the folks that are needing to commute in other jobs that people don't usually think about, or the communities, which are the marginalized communities that folks don't usually think about out in Washington County. And I know that Washington County is continuously growing. And with the new side of Hillsborough, I think that a lot of marginalized communities are going to be displaced and pushed out more towards the rural Washington County. So think of the coverage, the frequency, and new bus lines that need to be added for folks that are going to be displaced as well as already displaced.